Hey, 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 YouTube friends and friend and family. You know, once you be acquainted for so long, you begin to call friends family. I just got on today with the word of inspiration as far as life and business. I was getting off of work today, and I really was thinking and contemplating what kind of content can I talk about today that I have not already went over and I have not already talked about. Something I've never talked about and something I've never addressed is just really encouraging the kids and even the parents that have dream and aspirations to go farther than high school or wherever city, whatever town they live in, and do things bigger than where they at. And a lot of my students and a lot of people that talk to me, they constantly and always asking me, Miss Collins, how did you do it to get both of your kids to be able to want to do something bigger than, this small town we live in and be successful? Well, first we're gonna say that my kids they're not all the way where we want to be, but we're heading in the direction that we're asking God to align them with their visions and their dreams. And as little children, both kids that's in college, what they're in college for is like visions and dreams that they talked about as young kids. Those were my first two children, which was Brandon and Kabira. They were the first two children that I had, and even when you first have your first set of children, you try to do everything right. You're trying to be the perfect mom. You trying to make sure they get their schooling, the grades be on point. Well, as everybody know, you can have a house full of children, but all kids are not going to come out alike. So you got one child that may be very, very, very smart, and then you got one who be smart, but they ain't feeling that studying 2, 3, 4 hours a night. No, they not feeling that. So, I got a son and a daughter, and both of them always wanted to do big things, major things. Brandon's whole thing has always been football. And the truth be told, y'all, at first, I was the one who was not feeling football at all. I wasn't feeling football. I didn't want Brandon to play football because I was worried about him being injured. Him being my only son, my conflict of interest was him getting injured and it killing his career to even do anything that he dreamed of wanting to do. Now, for as Kabira, she always wanted to, as far as my daughter, she always wanted to do things on the big screen and acting, Broadway, role play, all that. She had been doing that. And if you ever go through like any of my social media pictures, Kabira started acting. I'd say her first play, she was like 7 or 8. She played Thumbelina. And it was always, at first I was like, okay, it's cute, I'm gonna let her do it. But she always was in this shell, like she was so shy to be who she could be, but she yet knew that's what she wanted to do. So anything that came about that really kind of aligned with what she wanted to do, I would try to put her in it. I would try to have her role play. I would try to have her be a part of it. If your child, or if you are a child watching this and is anything that you desire to do or anything that you want to do, tell you the truth, the vision and the goal and the drive, it all starts with you. It don't start with your parent. It all starts with you. You got to know what you want to do. You got to know what you want to be. If you want to be bigger than what the people see, then that's on you. That's on the dreams, and that's on the path that you're taking. Are the decisions that you're making gonna connect you to the right people? Are the people that you're putting yourself with, are those people somebody that you see that's walking in purpose, that align with your dream and your vision? If they're not, that's going to be your fall off. That's going to be your hindrance, because you can't say that you want to be this superstar or this person and then everything you're connected to is not going on the good path. Like you got a person who don't like to be the class clown, like to get kicked out, they like attention. You don't need to be attached to people like that. When you in alignment with bigger dreams and bigger visions, you got to be in alignment with somebody that's trying to do the same thing that you're trying to do. If I want to reach a certain point in life and I want to grow and I want to do better, that cuts me off from anything connected to me that's not doing better, that's not connected to growth, that's not connected to sacrifice. You got to connect to what you're trying to connect to. Let's just make sense. Like, you don't get a light to work unless you plug it into the socket. Without that socket, you can go hit the wall all day long. If it's not a socket there to plug it into, the light will not shine bright. The light is not going to come on. You got to make sure you're plugged into the source. So school wise, and a lot of people, it all starts, and it has nothing to do with, I tell people this all the time, it has nothing to do with degrees. It has nothing to do with how many years you went to college. That's not where your vision, that's not where that's not where your high point at in life. Some people go to college, some people don't. Some people don't go to college and they're very, very, very much successful and very much wealthy. Some people go to college and they're struggling because of the college bills. So whatever you do, you got to do what makes sense. Not because Joe Blow and Sue doing it, but because it's what makes sense, and you're going to be able to afford the lifestyle that you're putting before yourself. Don't strain yourself when you can do something simple and make sense of it and still get the result that you're looking for. That's what you want to do. Don't go trying to jump over fences and crawl through hurdles to do the simple stuff. So in life, like I said, I really wanted to tell you guys, it all starts when you're in school. It all starts in school. Simple, just by, you're not going to be a part of every clique. You're not going to be the it person. You're not going to be in the group that's probably popular. You're not going to be a part of the clique. You're not going to be invited to everything. Why? Because you're not doing what they're doing. But that's cool, because it depends on what you want to do. What you want to do, does it cause for you going to every, party? Does it cause for you being with every clique? If what you're doing does not connect to what they're doing, don't try to keep up with them. Because what you're doing today will affect your tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day. 2 seconds of something that you do that's totally irresponsible can cause you many years of tears. That's a saying that I read when I was smaller, and it has carried me through life. 1 second of my foolishness will hurt me for the rest of my life if I don't make the right decision. And it has everything to do with the choices and the decisions you make. I feel like we all wake up with the same 24 hours. We all wake up with the same day-to-day life, that is, your 24 hours is yours, mine is mine. What I do with mine is my choice, and what you do with yours is your choice. Some days I work all 3 of my businesses, all 3 of my jobs, some days, and it works for me. Some days I may work 1 or 2, but I still do some planning. And some people may work 1 job and go home, cook dinner, and go to sleep and call it a night. What works for you may not work for me. But at the end of the day, we got the same hours within the day to make the choices that we make. So as a student, I'm really on here to encourage students and young adults. If you're hanging with a group, if you're hanging with a crowd, and the crowd that you're hanging with is the popular crowd, and they seem to be more particular or more popular on the gossip and the drama, I can pretty much promise you 2, 3, 4 years down the line, they're not going to be somebody that you're going to be looking up to as a role model. Because one thing you will learn from gossip, mess, and drama, it attracts what it is. It's hard for you to say that you don't bother nobody, you don't want to be connected to nobody, and everything you're connected to is negative. At some point, you want to get off the boat and do something different. I don't see myself being in this small town for the rest of my life. If that's your thought process, then what are you going to do to come up out of here? Not just to go to the next biggest city, but to be great in whatever atmosphere you move in. One thing I've learned through life, I've lived in many cities. I've lived in different cities. I lived in different states. You want to be able to blend and to make it no matter where you go successfully, not just to be there, because you don't want to set yourself up to being the type of person that feel like, if this person does not help me out, I'm going to fail. You always want to be a successor. You always want to be somebody that want to be at the top of your game. Not saying you're going to be perfect, not saying that everything's going to be perfecto. It's going to be some hard days. It's going to be some dragging days. It's going to be some draining days. Because one thing I've learned about business and success is a lonely road. Some days you don't want to talk to somebody, nobody. Some days you miss events, you miss people, you miss being a part of everything, because you're trying to go home and get things done to make sure that this prosper today, so you have a better effect tomorrow or the next day. So if what you're doing today, or even what you've done in your past didn't make sense to you and you wanted things to be different, it all starts with you. A lot of mothers have kids by people, and they quick to jump on this bandwagon of start worrying about the baby daddy and what he's doing, and him not being a part of the the growth of my child and him not being doing what he's supposed to do as a father. When I went through my divorces and I went through life, I didn't do the blame game. I did the girl, you got some children you got to raise, and you got to get them out of your house to be a success. You want them to be able to not go living on from couch to couch to couch to couch. All I asked God was to connect me to the people, connect me to the source of just wanting my kids to be better. Didn't want them to be perfect. Didn't expect that they wouldn't have some high and lows, and they still may have their high and lows. But I just wanted to be the person at the end of the day, if they were going through something or they needed me, I'm the person that I want my kids to be able to come to and say, Mama, you know what, this is a little bit rough and I'm having a moment. Like, even since my daughter's been in school, it hasn't always been peaches and cream. She's had her days that she feels stressed because she's trying to make deadlines or she's trying to do what the teacher expects and she's feeling overwhelmed. And then that's when the mother figure of me steps in and you say, you know what, babe, you was built for this. And it's okay to take a break. It's okay to feel overwhelmed. That's part of life. If you're not feeling overwhelmed at all, you're not challenged enough. And obviously, if everything goes super, super smooth, then what you're doing is way too easy. It's not the epitome of where God wants you to be. You want to be somewhere that God can stretch you. I really feel like that in life, that if you're not somewhere where God can stretch you and things can seem like, you know what, this is simple for me, this is easy for me, and I know I can do stuff even greater than this. That's the point that I want to be at. Like, Lord, stretch me to my limit. Stretch me to the point that if I can be used in all four corners, let me be used in all four corners and let me make a difference. Let me do what makes sense. I thank God for being God. I thank God for my strength to be able to say that, you know, I like to be a role model in several kids' life, not just mine. I always tell people I don't feel comfortable with just my kids making it. I want to make sure some other kids make it and understand that where you at right now, this is not your destiny. Where you at right now is not where it's going to stop at. It's going to go so much farther than this. When I was going through as a young child and I was feeling stuck, all I kept saying to myself, I can't wait till I become an adult. Not because there were things that I wanted to do, but it was more so because there was things that I didn't want to experience anymore. And I know as an adult, my choices could be different and the outcome could be way greater. I knew that it wasn't so much of dating and none of that. I just wanted to do something that was just different from what I've been through. I wanted to make it even though the odds was against me, you know, because statistics tell you if you're in a house with, you know, married parents and your parents ain't the Huxtables, that you're not going to be success. You're not going to be a success story. You're not going to make it. Well, I was in a total broken house. Both parents died before I was even 7 years old. On top of my parents being dead, I was raised by other family members, and things went, you know, left that shouldn't have happened. And I went through things in life that really could have threw me off on a mental state of just not trusting people, not linking to people like I should. And when I dealt with that, the more I grew and the older I got, all I kept telling God is, I want to be better than where I come from. I want to be different than where I come from. I'm not perfect, but I want to be different. I want to be different. I didn't know what it was, but I know I didn't fit in a whole lot of situation, and it was cool with me even to this day. Like, I don't expect an invite to every event. I really don't. Honestly, I'm not going to show up anyway. But I don't expect invites. I don't expect my phone to ring from sun up to sundown, because what I'm doing and where I want to go is different from a lot of people that may carry the same last name or that may be in the same family tree as me. And I'm cool with that because the vision that I have for me and my children is a little bit different from where I come from and what I grew up in. You know, and I learned that a lot of people hold to this, that's my family, and yeah, I'm related to such and such, but it's not about who you related to. What have you sold for your life to be in abundance in your life, in your house, in your circle? You know, a lot of successful people become successful, and people will do the name dropping and the linking to feel like, yeah, I'm related to such and such. Okay, that's such and such success, but what have you done as a success story or a success testimony to make you worthy of telling somebody, or somebody saying, yeah, I know them, or I'm connected to them? So in this season, I don't want to make this video too long, but I just wanted to encourage you guys, because I talk about business, I talk about life, but I really wanted to encourage the youth that no matter where you at, no matter what it look like, no matter what you're going through, it all determines on what you want. All the weight is on your shoulder. How far you want it to go. Um, do you want the obstacles of struggle to be a revolving door? And you don't. Trust me, you don't. Because to me, it seemed like the deeper you dig your ditch for struggles and the more excuses you make, the harder it becomes to get out of them. You want to do what makes sense. And you want to be great in life so that when you have children or you get married or whatever you do in life, you want to look back and tell God, you know what, there is so much I could have done, but I didn't do. There was so much I probably should have done, but I didn't do. But my values was stuck on just wanting better and wanting, extra stuff. I was looking at something the other night that Bill Gates had wrote. In his 20s, he never took a day off. I can agree to that. Ever since I've been employed and had a job as an adult after my parents died, I don't ever remember being that person to have to call out of work and make up lies that I'm sick and I don't feel good. I don't want to go to work, giving reasons to not want to work because I knew that there was something that I wanted out of life. I knew there was something that I wanted to do different. And even in what I'm doing now, I do expect that God is going to do so much greater, but He's going to do so much greater because I expect so much and I put so much forth. My drive and my passion for life hits different because people got to know where you come from before they understand where you're going. People can tell you all day long, you work too much, you do too much. You don't know where I come from. You don't know what I've been through. You don't know the struggle I went through to get here. Until you've been without, you don't appreciate having. Until you've been sick, you don't appreciate health. And, people can say what they want to say, but that's real. Like, you really don't know what it's like not to have parents until you've been in my situation. Not to have people to pat you on the back and expect you to do greater, but you find yourself many days in many situations patting your own self on the back and say, you know what, God, I'm doing this for my mama. She dead and gone. My daddy dead and gone, but I have a point to prove. And my mama spoke something to me as a little child, and she said to me, I didn't raise you to be no fool. So every day of my life, when I'm raising my children and I'm making the decisions that I'm making, I always tell myself, girl, you ain't nobody fool. So you got to do things that make a difference, not just for you, but for your children too. I feel like the choices I make is going to rain down on my children. And no matter how grown they get, I always want to be that seed of hope and wisdom that they can connect to. It's almost like a surge of energy to remind them that God can do greater than what you got going on. It gets greater. It get way more greater than what you got going on. The expectations for life, it's way it's the impossible. It's way more unimaginable of what you can reach when you learn that it's really not just by what you got, but you're actually connected to the man that really owned the cattle on a hill, the world that we live in, the one that basically touch us in the morning and give us breath and give us life. Every day that my foot touched the floor, it reminds me that there's a power that's greater than me that can do more than me. So when I take my hand out of a lot of situations and let God be God, it reminds me that this can be more than what it is. Once you stop trying to do it on your own and let God be God, it's way bigger than this. It gets big when you decide and you discern what's for you and what's not, what battles to fight and what battles not to fight. Everything is not meant for you to be a part of. Every argument is not meant for you to be a response on. Learn what's worth your time. Learn what to give your energy to. If I knew then what I know now, the older I get, the wiser I get. And one thing I've learned, if I've learned nothing else, that God will provide. He will take care of you, but you got to want Him to. You got to move self out of the way and you got to let God be God. Don't get stuck on always wanting to be the one to be in power of what's going on. Be blessed. Until my next YouTube video, you guys take care. Be productive on purpose and keep God first.